Qur'an, Chapter 1, Surah Fatihat al-Kitab, the opening of the book. By Imam Jar Allah, al-Zamakhsharī. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Meccan. And it is said, Meccan and Medinan, for it was revealed once in Mecca and again in Medina. It is named al-Qur'an, the mother of the Qur'an, because it comprises the meanings that are in the Qur'an, of lauding God Most High with what he is worthy of devotion through command and prohibition, and of promise and warning. And Surat al-Kanz, the Surah of the treasure, and Al-Wafiyah, the complete, for the same reason. And Surat al-Hamd, the Surah of praise, and Al-Mathan, the oft-recited, because it is repeated in every cycle of prayer. And Surat al-Salah, the Surah of the prayer, because the prayer is perfected or validated by its recitation therein. And Surat al-Shifa, the Surah of healing, and al-Shafiyah, the curing. It is 7 verses by agreement, though some count An'amta alayhim, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace, as a verse, but not the tasmiyah, the invocation in the name of God, while others hold the opposite view. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. The reciters and jurists of Medina, Basra and Syria hold that the tasmiyah is not a verse of Al-Fatihah, nor of any other surah, but is written for separation and for the blessing of commencing with it, just as every matter of importance is begun with its mention. This is the school of Abu Hanifa, may God have mercy on him, and his followers, and for this reason they do not recite it aloud in the prayer. The reciters and jurists of Mecca and Kufa hold that it is a verse of Al-Fatihah and of every surah. This is the view of Al-Shafi'i and his companions, may God have mercy on them, and for this reason they recite it aloud. They have argued that the early generations inscribed it in the codex, despite their diligence in keeping the Qur'an pure of additions, which is why they did not inscribe Amen An. Were it not part of the Qur'an, they would not have inscribed it. And it is related from Ibn Abbas. Whoever omits it has omitted 114 verses from the Book of God Most High. If you should ask, to what is the letter ba attached? I would answer, to an elided verb, which is understood to be, in the name of God I read or I recite. For that which follows the tasmiyah is what is read. Similarly, when a traveller, upon stopping or setting out, says, in the name of God and with his blessings, the meaning is, in the name of God I stop, and in the name of God I set out. Likewise, the one who slaughters, and every doer who begins his action with in the name of God, implies the action for which he has made the tasmiyah a beginning. A parallel to this elision of the word to which the preposition is attached is the saying of God, mighty and majestic is he. Go with 9 signs unto Pharaoh and his people, 27:12, meaning go with 9 signs. Likewise is the saying of the Arabs in their prayer for a newly married man, bil rifa wal banan, with harmony and sons, and the saying of the Bedouin, bil yumn wal baraka, with good fortune and blessing, meaning you have married or I have wedded. From this is the verse. Then I said, to the food, and a group among them said, we begrudge mankind their food. If you should ask, why did you understand the elided verb to come after? I would answer, because what is more important of the verb and its object is its object. For they used to begin with the names of their deities, saying, in the name of Al-Lat, in the name of Al-Uzza. Thus it was necessary for the monotheist to intend the meaning of specifying the name of God. Mighty and majestic is he, for the commencement, and that is achieved by placing it first and delaying the verb, as was done in his saying, "Thee alone do we worship," 1:5, where the object was placed first for the sake of specification. The proof for this is his saying, "In the name of God be its course and its mooring," 11:41. If you should ask, "But he has said, read in the name of thy sustainer," 96.1, placing the verb first, I would answer, there, placing the verb first was more fitting because it was the first surah to be revealed, and so the command to read was of greater importance. If you should ask, what is the meaning of the attachment of the name of God to the act of reading? I would answer, there are two aspects to it. The first is that it is attached to it as the pen is attached to writing in your saying, "I wrote with the pen." This is in the sense that when the believer holds that his action will not be of any account in the sacred law, nor performed according to the Sunnah, until it is preceded by the mention of God's name, based on the saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Every matter of importance not begun with the name of God is bereft. His action becomes, as it were, an act done by means of the name of God, just as writing is done by means of the pen. The second is that it is attached to it as oil is attached to growth in his saying. That brings forth oil 23:20 in the sense of seeking blessing in the name of God, I read. Likewise, the saying of the one who prays for the newly married man, Bil rifa wal banan, with harmony and sons, meaning you have married, accompanied by harmony and sons. This aspect is more elegant and superior. If you should ask, how then can God, blessed and exalted is he, say, seeking blessing in the name of God, I read? I would answer, this is spoken upon the tongues of his servants, just as a man composes poetry on the tongue of another. So it is also with all praise is due to God, the sustainer of all the worlds, 1-2, to the end of the surah. Much of the Qur'an follows this pattern, and its meaning is to teach his servants how to seek blessing in his name, and how to praise him, glorify him, and exalt him. If you should ask, why is it that single-letter prepositions are built upon the vowel fatha, which is the sister of silence, such as the kaf of comparison, the lam of emphasis, and the wa and fa of conjunction, among others? What then is the case of the lam of possession and the ba, which are built upon the kasra? I would answer, as for the lam, it is to distinguish it from the lam of emphasis. As for the ba, it is because of its inherent nature as a preposition of governance. The word ism, name, is one of the 10 nouns whose beginnings were built upon a silent consonant. When they pronounced them at the beginning of speech, they would add a connecting hamza, so that their utterance would not begin with a silent consonant, since their custom was to begin with a vowel and to pause on a silent consonant due to the soundness of their language from every stammer and ugliness, and its being established upon the utmost perfection and solidity. When it occurred within the flow of speech, there was no need to add anything. Some of them did not add it, and sufficed by vocalizing the silent consonant, saying some or sim. A poet said, in the name of the one whose name, sim, is in every surah. And it is one of those nouns whose endings are elided, such as yad, hand, and dam, blood. Its origin is sumyu, as indicated by its various forms, asma, sama, and sumaitu. Its derivation is from al-sumu, loftiness, because a name elevates its bearer and proclaims his mention. If you should ask, why is the alif elided in the script while it is retained in his saying, in the name of thy sustainer, 96:1? I would answer, in this They followed the rule for its usage within the flow of speech, rather than at the beginning, upon which the script is based, due to its great frequency of use. They said the ba was elongated to compensate for the omission of the alif. Allah originates from Al-Ilah, the deity, just as An-Nas, mankind, originates from Al-Unas. The initial Hamza was elided and compensated for by the definite article. For this reason, one says in invocation, Ya Allah, with a disjunctive Hamza, just as one says, Ya Ilah. The word Ilah is a generic noun, like man or horse, a name applied to any object of worship, whether true or false. It then became predominantly used for the one truly worshipped, just as Al-Najm, the star, is a name for any celestial body, but became predominantly used for the Pleiades. As for Allah, with the elision of the Hamza, it is specific to the one truly worshipped, and has not been applied to any other. If you should ask, is it a name or an attribute? I would answer, it is a name, not an attribute. Do you not see that you describe him, but you do not describe by means of it? You do not say, a thing that is an Ilah, just as you do not say, a thing that is a man. But you say, one God, the Eternal, just as you say, a generous, good man. Furthermore, the attributes of God Most High must have something to which they are attributed. If you were to make them all attributes, they would remain unattributed to a noun, which is impossible. If you should ask, does this name have a derivation? I would answer, the meaning of derivation is that a single meaning unites two or more forms. The form of this name and the form of their saying, Aliha, meaning he was bewildered, are united by the meaning of bewilderment and astonishment. This is because minds are bewildered in knowing the one who is worshipped, and intellects are astonished. For this reason, error has become widespread, falsehood has abounded, and sound reflection has become scarce. Ar-Rahman, the Most Gracious, is of the form Fa'lan, from Rahima, to have mercy, like Gadban, angry, from Gadiba, to be angry. Likewise, Ar-Raham, the Most Merciful, is of the form Fa'al, from it, like Mard, sick, from Marida, to be sick. In Ar-Rahman there is a degree of emphasis that is not in Ar-Raham. For this reason they said, the Rahman of this world and the hereafter, and the Raham of this world. They say that an increase in the structure of a word indicates an increase in its meaning. And among the delightful things I've heard from the Arabs is that they call one of their camel litters a shikdif, which is a light litter, not as heavy as the litters of Iraq. So on the road to Al-Taif, I asked one of them, what is the name of this litter? Meaning the Iraqi litter. He replied, is not the other one's name Shikdif? I said, yes. He then said, this one's name is Shakandaf. He had thus added to the structure of the name to reflect the increase in the object named. It is one of the predominant attributes, like Ad-Dabaran or Al-Ayyuk, and has not been used for anyone other than God. Mighty and majestic is He, just as Allah is one of the predominant names. As for the saying of the Banu Hanifa about Musaylimah, the Rahman of Al-Yamama, and the saying of their poet about him, and you are the reign of mankind, may you never cease to be a Rahman. This is but a form of their obstinacy in their disbelief. All praise is due to God, the sustainer of all the worlds. 2, the Most Gracious, the Most Merciful. 3, Hamd, praise, and Mad, laudation, are brothers. Hamd is to extol and acclaim someone for a beautiful quality, whether it be a blessing or something else. You say, I praised the man for his beneficence, and I praised him for his noble lineage and his courage. As for shukr, gratitude, it is for a blessing specifically, and it is with the heart, the tongue, and the limbs. A poet said, Your blessings have earned from me 3 things: my hand, my tongue, and my veiled conscience. Hamd is with the tongue alone. It is thus one of the branches of gratitude. From this is the saying of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Praise is the head of gratitude. No servant has thanked God who has not praised him. He made it the head of gratitude because mentioning the blessing with the tongue and extolling its giver proclaims it more widely and attests to its station more than belief in the heart or the actions of the limbs. For the action of the heart is hidden, and the actions of the limbs are open to interpretation, unlike the action of the tongue, which is speech that makes plain all that is hidden and clarifies all that is ambiguous. The opposite of praise is blame, and the opposite of gratitude is ingratitude. The word alhamdu is in the nominative case as the subject of a sentence, its predicate being the prepositional phrase li'Allah, due to God. Its original form is the accusative, which is the reading of some with an elided verb, as it is one of the verbal nouns that the Arabs put in the accusative with elided verbs in the sense of a statement, such as their saying shukran, thanking, kufran, disbelieving, ajaban, wondering, and the like. The shift from the accusative to the nominative, making it a subject, is to indicate the permanence and stability of the meaning. The definite article in alhamd is that which denotes the genus. Its meaning is to point to that which everyone knows, what praise is and what strife is from among the genera of actions. It is not for exhaustive inclusion, as many people mistakenly imagine. Rabb, sustainer, means owner. From this is the saying of Safwan to Abu Sufyan, that a man from Quraysh should be my master is more beloved to me than that a man from Hawazin should be my master. The word Rabb has not been used absolutely except for God alone. For others it is used in a qualified sense through possession, as in their saying Rab Adar, master of the house, Rab Anaka, owner of the she-camel, and the saying of God Most High, Return unto thy Lord 1250, and verily he is my Lord, he has made good my abode. 12. World is a name for those who possess knowledge from among the angels and the 2 weighty creations, mankind and jinn. And it is said, everything by which the Creator is known of physical bodies and their properties. If you should ask, why is it pluralized, I would answer, so that it may encompass every genus of that which is so named, Master of the Day of Judgment. 4. It has been recited, Malik Yaum Addan, King of the Day of Judgment, Malik, Master Owner, and Malik with a lightened lamb. The mention of him as the sustainer of all the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful, and the master of the day of judgment, after specifying that praise is due to him in the words, all praise is due to God, is evidence that whoever possesses these attributes, none is more worthy than he of praise and of being extolled for that of which he is worthy. Thee alone do we worship, and from thee alone do we seek help. 5. Iya is a separate pronoun for the accusative case. The suffixes that attach to it, such as kaf, ha, and ya in iyaka, thee, iyahu, him, and iyaya, me, are to indicate the second person, third person, and first person, and they have no grammatical standing, just as the kaf in ara aitaka has no grammatical standing. They are not pronouns in themselves. This is the school of Al-Akhfash, and upon it are the verifying scholars. The placing of the object before the verb is for the purpose of specification, as in his saying, Say, is it other than God you command me to worship? 39:64, and say, Shall I seek a sustainer other than God? 6:164. The meaning is, we specify thee for worship, and we specify thee for seeking aid. Worship, ibadah, is the utmost degree of submission and humility. For this reason, it has been used only for submission to God Most High, for he is the bestower of the greatest blessings, and so he is worthy of the utmost degree of submission. If you should ask, why has the discourse shifted from the third person to the second person? I would answer, this is called iltifat, rhetorical shift, in the science of eloquence. It may be from the third person to the second, from the second to the third, or from the third to the first, as in God saying, until when you're in the ships, and they sail with them, 10:22. And his saying, and it is God who sends the winds, so that they raise up a cloud, then we drive it, 35.9. This is according to their custom of variation and versatility in speech. For when speech is shifted from one style to another, it is more refreshing to the listener's attention, and more awakening to his ear than if it were to proceed in a single style. And specific instances of it may contain particular benefits. One of the benefits specific to this instance is that when he mentioned the one who is worthy of praise, and attributed to him those mighty attributes, knowledge was attached to a known being of tremendous stature, worthy of praise, and the utmost submission and the seeking of aid in important matters. So that known being, distinguished by those attributes, was addressed directly, and it was said, Thee alone, O you who possess these attributes, do we specify for worship and for seeking aid. We worship no other than you, and we seek aid from no other. Thus, the direct address is more indicative that worship is for him because of that distinction by which alone worship is deserved. If you should ask, why is the seeking of aid joined with worship? I would answer, so as to bring together that by which the servants draw near to their sustainer and that which they seek and need from his direction. If you should ask, why then is worship placed before the seeking of aid? I would answer, because the presentation of the means of approach before the request of the need is more conducive to meriting an answer. Guide us to the straight path. 6. The path of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who have earned your anger, nor of those who are astray. 7. Guide us to the straight path is a supplication for an increase in guidance by the granting of divine favour, as in God saying, And those who are guided, he increases them in guidance, 47:17, and those who strive in our cause, we shall surely guide them to our paths, 29:69. It is related from Al and Ubay, may God be pleased with them both. Guide us means make us firm. As Sirat is the main road, the word is from Sarata, to swallow, because it, as it were, swallows the wayfarers when they travel upon it. As Sirat comes from changing the letter Sun to Sad on account of the tar. What is meant is the path of truth, which is the religion of Islam. The path of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace is a substitute for the straight path. It is as if the governing word were repeated, as though it were said, Guide us to the straight path. Guide us to the path of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace. If you should ask, what is the benefit of this substitution? Why was it not simply said, Guide us to the path of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace? I would answer, its benefit is emphasis, due to the repetition and reiteration within it, and the indication that the explanation and exegesis of the straight path is the path of the Muslims. This serves as a testimony to the straightness of the path of the Muslims in the most eloquent and emphatic manner. Those upon whom he has bestowed grace are the believers. The bestowal of grace is left absolute so as to encompass every grace, for whoever has been graced with the blessing of Islam, no blessing remains, but that it has reached him and encompassed him. Not of those who have earned your anger is a substitute for those upon whom you have bestowed your grace, with the meaning that those graced are they who are safe from God's anger and from going astray. Or it is a description, with the meaning that they have combined the absolute grace, which is the grace of faith, with safety from God's anger and from going astray. Those who have earned anger are the Jews, due to his saying, "Mighty and majestic is he," those whom God has cursed and upon whom he has brought his anger, 560. And the astray are the Christians, due to his saying, "who have gone astray," before 577. If you should ask, what is the meaning of God's anger? I would answer, it is his will to exact retribution from the disobedient and to send down punishment upon them, and to do to them what a king does when he is angry with those under his authority. We seek refuge in God from his anger, and we ask for his good pleasure and his mercy. Amen is a sound by which the verb istajib, answer, is named, just as ruwaid, hayahal, and halumma are sounds by which the verbs amhil, go slowly. Asri, hasten, and akbil, come forth, are named. It is related from Ibn Abbas, I asked the Messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, about the meaning of Amen, and he said, do it. It is not part of the Qur'an, as evidenced by the fact that it is not written in the codices. It is related from Ubay ibn Ka'b that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, shall I not inform you of a surah, the like of which has not been revealed in the Torah, the Gospel, or the Qur'an? I said, yes, O Messenger of God. He said, Fatihat al-Kitab. It is the 7 oft-recited verses and the mighty Qur'an which I have been given.